Good evening, Ms. Lefkowitz. We will start your your opening remarks as soon as you start speaking, and you will have 3 minutes.
President Rodriguez and members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to present. I am excited to be a board applicant and look forward how we can work together to support student success. Imagine a graduation rate approaching 100% for students of all races and economic groups prepared for college and career. Full implementation of Common Core, every parent connected to their school through a system of home visits, parent supports, and parent leadership. Students partnering with the community, with community agencies for real-time solutions to real-time community issues, and school gardens supplying fresh produce to school cafeterias. I want to move these visions into reality by serving on this board. My resume as an active parent, a community leader, and a career in community and youth development make me exceptionally qualified for this position. I'm an organizational leader. Having led 2 city departments and forming my own nonprofit, the Youth Development Network. These experiences taught me to understand complex budgets and to be a creative problem solver. I'm a community organizer. As a Bret Hart parent, I walk door to door in Oak Park with area congregations together, listening to families' concerns and helping them secure a bus to transport their students from Oak Park to Bret Hart. I'm experienced in shaping policy. I've served on the school site councils and various community boards. As a workforce investment board member, we funded youth specialists at our one-stop career centers to make them more youth-friendly. I'm a bridge builder and intend to create partnerships with board members and community stakeholders. I will use my connections to the many important community resources that I am affiliated with to help our schools. I've learned that strong partnerships require relationships and trust. I'm a youth developer, both as a parent and a professional. Youth leadership programs I developed recently trained over 400 Sac City students to become change agents in their community. Miss Yee, you can count on me, like you did Miss Bell, to support student voice at this board. I'm already involved with and knowledgeable about district and school initiatives, including social emotional learning, link learning, summer of service, anti-bullying, and LGBTQ efforts. I recently reached out to Area 1 parents and principals to understand their perspectives and concerns, and I'm fully prepared to respond to them if appointed. I look forward to what we can accomplish together to put our students first and to ensure their success. Thank you.
Thank you. Our line of questioning will begin to my left to your right, and we will start with Student Board Member Katrina Yee.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. What is your view on student voice and the value of student interests?
I am a very big advocate for student voice. I feel like if we really listen to our students, we would make our schools much more relevant and meaningful to them. I think that the direction we're moving in with Common Core will be complementary to seeking more and more having student-led learning. One thing I would like to talk a little bit about is we have a student board member, and then she's connected to the student advisory board. I recently went to the advisory board and heard the students have 3 issues that they're concerned about. So I would like to see the students working with you be able to come, develop some of their solutions, and then come, I don't know if they do this, but I'd like to see them come regularly and present to the board on what their issues are and how they would like to see them resolved. I would like to see a little more training of our youth advisory board members and our student board member so that they feel more equipped and prepared to address issues of policy. This is kind of what I've built my life around over the last 5 years, so I would really like to figure out how to work, more in the district to continue to raise the voice of young people. A few other thoughts would be through our after-school programs. I think we could create more opportunities to build leadership classes or offerings through our after-school program. I actually have this vision that every young person in our district should be trained in leadership skills. They're very similar to 21st century learning skills. And I think when young people can lead, and I think all young people can lead, I think that they gain a sense of confidence. I think they gain a sense of self-awareness. And they learn a lot of skills around how to navigate through in the adult world in order to get things done that are important to them.
Further questions?
No further questions? Okay. Member Kennedy.
Send you to law school.
Many lawyers.
Thank you, Ms. Lefkowitz. As you are well aware, the board has sometimes it takes a lot of time out of your schedule, and not just the stuff that you want to do extra as far as visiting schools and all of that. That's different, but there's set times as far as our board meetings that, for example, twice a month we meet at 4:30 and it goes till 11 o'clock typically. There's sometimes special board meetings that are required of us during the day, not often, but occasionally it happens. Are you able to work that into your professional life and be able to do that? Because commitment's pretty important.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I'm in front of you today is because my youngest child recently went to college, and I'm so without children at home, so I don't have those responsibilities. And I left my organization about 2 years ago and have mostly just been volunteering in the community, and I'm planning on continuing to do that. So this would absolutely be a priority, and I have absolutely nothing but time and would love to be able to fill that time with the duties of this board.
In your application, and you did a great job, by the way, it's very thorough. You mentioned the superintendent's priority schools. What do you feel about those?
I am very worried about the achievement gap in our school district. I think I recently heard a statistic that 50 male African-American boys, young men, graduated high school meeting the A to G requirement. Only 50. And then there's all the other data that you already know. So I think, to me, we have to do something more and more to close the achievement gap. And if you look at the priority schools, the last report that came in front of you, I think it was, the last two reports, they show a lot of promise. The students are doing surprisingly well, and I think it's showing that we can help kids of color, low-income kids learn if we have the right things in place, like good principal leadership, teachers that are trained appropriately to teach in engaging ways and to really teach with precision by looking at data and tailoring their interventions to those young people. If we put more time on task for them, give them a little more time to learn, if we let teachers collaborate, if we provide the supports that young people from poverty need. They need additional supports. Sometimes they come to school without food. They have sometimes emotional issues. So making sure we have all those. So I think we're on the right track.
Thank you.
Vice President Wu.
Thank you, President Roberts. You might have heard me earlier explain the nuances of Ed Code 5091. And I was referring to the options before the board regarding provisional appointment, an election, or a provisional appointment followed by an election. I get the sense that there's a likelihood, maybe a strong likelihood even, that if we make an appointment, there could very well be an election, which means that the appointment that we make would last no more than 60 days. I'd like to get your sense as to your role if an election is called. In other words, would you be running? Would you be campaigning? So,
So about 2 months ago, I didn't expect I'd be standing in front of you. And I had a colleague, a neighbor of mine, had spoken to me after he saw Miss Bell was leaving. And he talked to me the first time, and I kind of laughed at him. And he talked to me the second and third and fourth time. And I ultimately decided that this is the right thing for me to do. And then when I heard there was going to be possibly an election, I was like thinking to myself, do I really want to put myself through that? But the truth of the matter is, this has been an amazing experience for me. I have met great people. I have pushed myself beyond my comfort zone. And I've become more firm in my conviction about the need to do something to continue to improve our education system. So long story is, I, at this point, as of this minute, believe I would run for that position if it opened up.
we have been facing terrible financial times in the last decade or so. And in the last decade, the school district has trimmed 200 million plus from its budget. One of the means of meeting budget needs might be school closures, and I'd like your sense as to how you might recommend we accomplish that.
So the idea of school closures is a very both emotional and a difficult issue to come to grips with. For me, there's several kinds of questions that I have. The first has to do with the issue of I'm assuming we're closing schools because they're being underutilized. So one question to me would be, what is going on? Why are our schools some of our schools being underutilized? Is it overall, are we having a census, are the numbers in the census down?
Thank you.
Can I email you answers after this? This is very frustrating. Oh, my God.
This is a very open process, and so it's my turn.
Okay.
Yes. So in order to ensure I get the most important question I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask that one to be the first one.
Okay.
And it's been asked of everybody, but I'm going to ask it to you differently. Your husband used to serve on this board. He currently is a council member. And oftentimes there's a lot of political pressure that comes along. But in your situation, it's a little different. Could you tell us, how could you separate yourself from a decision that he wants you to make in order to move this district in the direction that he prefers?
So I don't know if all of you are married or not, but I know my husband wishes he could control me. And I suspect that your spouses wishes they could control you. So that's my first answer. I have for 30 years have had my own career. I use my own name. And, Jay and I share a lot of similar values and interests, but we have, we live our lives in separate pathways. He's very involved in state advocacy on education, and, I've been much more involved in the local level. And I consider this a professional position. I mean, I would treat it as I would if I were, the head of an organization. And, if this was my job as an organizational leader. And I think you have to know where your professional boundaries are. And and the truth of the matter is, there will be pressure from all over. I'm sure you all know that Jay can try to advocate with me and pressure me. And, I do that with him, quite frankly, on the council. I give him my opinion about what I think of things. But I will be getting, the unions calling me and parents calling me and hopefully students calling me. And I think as someone who sits in this position has to know how to mediate all those different pressures. And I think you also have to be really centered on what your principles and your values are. And so that's kind of what I want to say.
Trustee Area 1 is a very diverse community, ethnically and socially, economically. How would you ensure the equity of access of education for that community?
So you are speaking to my heart, because social justice is one of my top values. And if you look at my history, you will see that I am a big advocate for young people, for disenfranchised young people. And I think that one of the challenges in the district actually is, I think the challenge is mediating between, we have some very well-off families, in schools that are,
There
I'll
you go.
email you too. I know, but I'm not sure, so I'm not clear on something. Am I supposed to be moderating my answers so that,
It's up to you.
okay, I
If
didn't
you
realize
want to
that.
take the whole 3 minutes on one question, you can.
Okay.
Or if you want to get more questions in, then you can shorten
Thank you,
your
okay,
your
I didn't,
responses.
I'm just getting the hang of the rules here.
Thank you for asking.
Okay,
So next up is Vice President Cunha.
I'd ask for shorter answers.
that's cool.
What's your thoughts on a teacher evaluation system, and do you think that test scores should be included in it?
So my thoughts on a teacher evaluation system. Well, first of all, to me, the quality of the teacher, I think, is the most important thing for a student in their classroom. I know it from my own kids, from their personal experience, and when they've had teachers turn over, when they've had bad teachers, it totally ruins their year, their day. But also from research, we know that quality teaching is what matters for the success of our academic success for our young people. So I think we have to do what we can to support the profession. I don't think evaluations should be punitive. I think we should use evaluations to help teachers strengthen their practice. I think there needs to be a process where, like a peer assistance process. I really like what San Juan's doing with their peer assistance review process. In terms of the evaluation system, so I believe that I would not put, I think we need an evaluation process, first and foremost. I would not, at this point, put on the table the issue of test scores, because I think it will just blow up the conversation and we won't get anywhere. I would hold that in abeyance for a secondary conversation and get to the first conversation, which is, what would a teacher evaluation system look like? How would we coach teachers and, make sure it's a teaching system and not a punitive system? The other reason I think we should hold in abeyance the test scores issue is because it's a complex issue around how do you, what is the actual, what is the measure? Is it test scores? Is it different assessments that we would use? If you use the STAR test, it only happens once a year.
Can I ask
So-
you another question?
Yes,
I'll
please, sorry.
also let you circle around to school closures. Would you use academic achievement of schools when you're analyzing school closures?
I don't believe I would.
What do you think of the overall academic achievement levels of the district, and how do you see your role as a board member in raising those levels?
I think I don't know how we compare to other districts, but I think our achievement is going up. I think we're doing better. I think this district is implementing some good practices. I think hopefully we'll learn a lot from the priority schools. I think the teacher evaluation system is really important to me, because I think that's where the rubber hits the road, is the quality of the teachers. I think that's one issue. I think this whole social emotional part of learning, and I'm very excited about what the district's doing to not just focus on the academic side, but to make sure we have quality of caring climates for kids and supports for kids that need them. And so I think it's academics, supports for kids. Okay.
You have all of our emails.
Okay.
Next is Member Arroyo.
Okay, and then I will give you 20 seconds of my time to finish answering Vice President Wu's question about closures. And then I'll continue with my questions so that you can provide. He had asked, your perspective on school closures.
Okay.
And if you, just briefly, Vice President Wu, did you want to restate?
Yeah, could you just say it again? I'm sorry.
So the issue is that in these tough fiscal times, we might need to close schools to right-size our district. And what then would you contribute to the discussion on school closures.
Okay, so quickly.
20 seconds.
Okay. I think the issue, we need to look at why schools are underutilized and what we could do to improve their utilization. I think we need to look at the equity issue, because like I could drive my kids across town. A lot of our families in our low-income neighborhoods can't do that. And I think we need to look at, like, what are the other budget options? What are the other cost-saving options? You know, I think everything needs to be on the table, quite frankly, and we all need to be willing to have the conversation. And if we look at, if I could see the other options and see what the trade-offs are, and then make the decision about whether we would close a school. And the other last piece is if we could make sure if we do that, we need to make sure kids have transportation to wherever we're sending them.
Perfect. And then my questions are, first of all, what is the role of the board member in your perspective?
Okay. So the role of the board member, several. I mean, we obviously have to approve the budget. We have to hire the superintendent. We have to, just meet the qualifications of whatever the legal things are that we're required to do with suspensions and all that. But I think we have another role, which is, I think we set the tone for the district. I think to the extent the district sees partnerships and collaboration going on, I think that fosters that throughout the district. I think we're the people out in the community, like building public will and goodwill for the district. And I think we are also, about creating partnerships and trying to, figure out how to bring more resources and more community support for our schools. Yeah.
And then, let's see, what are the biggest challenges that you see in the district?
Say it again.
What are the biggest challenges you see in the district, and be as specific as you can?
Okay, so obviously the budget, making sure we can close the gap. I think the academic success issues, we got to keep figuring out what are the practices that are working, how do we bring more resources to our kids. The implementation of Q&R, I think, making sure that that's done. I know it will be done well, but to just make sure there's a good, I think, oversight committee and that we're sufficiently, using those funds the way we had promised the community and that there's a community engagement process. And then I think building partnerships, because if we want our students to have more relevant learning, we need to get them out into the community or get the community in the classroom, and that requires partnerships.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Pritchett.
If I turned on my mic, right?
Yeah, rookie.
Thank you for being here. I believe that community engagement paves the way for stronger learning. Can you tell me some of the recent activities that you've performed in your community to engage the parents and the community?
You're interested in what I've done at the school site or just in the community?
Right. Well, both. I know that you talked a lot about the things that you've done in the past. Can you tell me some of the most recent things you've done?
Sure. So I have been really excited to be able to volunteer at American Legion. So I've been spending quite a bit of time there, and that school is in deep need of support. And so I've been helping them bring community resources onto the campus. They have started a gardening program, and I've been helping them find resources and supplies and partners. They also, they had some traffic concern issues in front of the school, so we've been working on that together. Trying to help them find internships has been a really big issue that we're trying to figure out. And so I've been trying to help them with that. We're trying to bring the National Academy Foundation on campus. I actually had Stan Eccles over at the Met the other day to see if we could figure out how to bring the Met model onto campus. So that's at that particular school. I do so much in the community. I'm involved in a fair amount of the Oak Park community, working on trying to bring more grant resources into the community. Trying to think what else.
That's good. Thank
And then
you.
outside of the youth advocacy stuff that we do.
And I would assume if selected, you would be continuing with this.
Oh, yeah, I love creating partnerships, and I love connecting resources. Yeah.
Can you tell me your feeling on charter schools?
Yes. So I think that my interest in being on this board is around creating great public schools. And I know as a parent that all students have different styles, different needs, different personalities, different learning styles. So we need our schools to address those different needs of our kids. I have been impressed that this district seems to be doing a great, or a better and a great job in a lot of ways of creating more different programs at our school sites. Like I know they're going to put the IB at Kit Carson. They're trying to, I think, bring more options to schools so parents, don't have to go across town in order to get more options for their kids. So truthfully, I kind of feel like if we do a really good job of meeting the needs of our kids, then we wouldn't necessarily need to.
Thank you.
We now will give you 2 minutes for a closing statement, and the time will begin when you start to talk.
Just need a second here. This is a pivotal time for public education generally and Sac City specifically. This district is showing tremendous leadership in a number of critical areas. We are the head of the curve on Common Core. Last week I went to a training and I saw firsthand how it will fundamentally change for the better how children are taught in our district. The passage of Measure Q&R, I think, will create more energy savings for our schools as well as provide tools for the 21st century learning of our kids. I think the priority schools are showing great promise for our most struggling students. The Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project is effectively engaging our diverse parent population. And we are implementing impressive nutrition initiatives like the after-school supper program. And then the combined focus between linked learning and social-emotional learning will, in my opinion, help increase student safety and improve academic success. I feel like I'm a great fit for this board for several reasons. First of all, my vision of that I believe schools should be safe, caring, supportive, and engaging places for our students, it very much aligns with your initiatives already. My children graduated from CK McClatchy. They were prepared for college. But the truth of the matter is their school experience didn't really match this vision. The culture of their school didn't really match the vision that well. So I want to change that for all of our Sacramento students. I will use my creativity and collaboration skills to help address the serious budget challenges that we face. My passion and experience have led me to this moment. I am ready to work at a different level, at a board level, to help the district achieve its vision. Besides my family, nothing is more important to me than the education and life success of our students. I would be honored to serve on this board to ensure all of our students are ready for college, work, and life, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Lefkowitz.
Thank you.
And now you can join the audience if you'd like, or depart.
Oh, hey, got her. Thank you.
The next person on our agenda this evening is Mr. David Ross. Actually, are we waiting for a board member?